What's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Big fight this weekend, huge fight this weekend. Errol Spence, Shawn Porter. Welterweight unification. You know, the welterweight division is flooded with names. Flooded with a bunch of guys that are arguably pound for pound and all of that. A lot of stars, a lot of legends, all of that. But we don't get too many unifications, okay? There's a lot of protection at 147. It has been for many years now. A lot of beefs between promoters and networks and all of that. But this is a good fight this weekend, you know? It's not the absolute one fight that I want to see at welterweight. We all know that, you know, I want to see Bud versus Spence right now because I think those are the top two at welterweight. I think those are the best. You know, I know some people may say Pacquiao. I mean, obviously Pacquiao is the most proven, but right now I feel like Bud and Spence are the top two fighters. Okay, I don't think anyone can beat them at 147 right now. Anyone. All right. So let's talk about the fight. Spence is coming into this fight very similar to the way he came in to fight Kell Brook. Very, very confident. They've had their, you know, exchange of words, a lot of interviews. I think too many interviews, to be honest with you. You know, I know PBC's trying to promote the fight. It is a pay-per-view. I will be at my dad's. I will be with my family on Saturday. So I would support the pay-per-view. You guys know I'm not a big supporter of pay-per-view. I want it to end, but it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. So, but out of the recent pay-per-views that we got in this past year, so I think this is one of the better fights. You know, this is a legit fight here. Do I think it should be on pay-per-view? Nah, you know, and it's not Errol's fault. It's more like Shawn Porter's fault. You know, me personally, I like Shawn. I think he's a very, very credible fighter, but his style doesn't, you know, I never like watched the Shawn Porter fight outside of the Keith Thurman fight. It was like, man, I love that fight. You know, that was the only fight that I really like and enjoyed of Shawn Porter. You know, we already know how he gets down. We already know how he give it up. Shawn Porter can, I don't know, you know, the way he fights, he can definitely take away from a good fight, like, you know, because of the wrestling and stuff like that. But he can box. It's not like he can't box. He boxes very, very well. We've seen him box a lot lately. You know, a lot of his recent fights weren't all just him being physical and stuff like that, you know. You know, I think he's been gearing and preparing for a fight like this since he lost to both Thurman and Kell Brook. I think he's been preparing for another fight like this where he would have to box more in order to win. Okay? You know, you see the Ugas fight. You seen the what fights? The Ugas, the Granados fight, the Danny Garcia fight. Those are fights that he wasn't just straight wrestling in these fights. You know what I'm saying? He did box a lot in these fights. I think in the Ugas fight, I think he needed to mix it up a little bit more. Ugas was a very, very dangerous counter puncher. I think Shawn was getting caught with so many of those counters as he was leaping in. But anyway, this fight, you know, I'm sitting here carrying on and I'm talking and I'm not talking about the fight too much because, to be honest with you, I really don't know how Shawn Porter's going to win. All right, let's state the obvious. Let's state the obvious. And it's not that I'm underestimating Shawn, because I think this would be Errol's best win if he is to win, even though Kell Brook, and let me explain that real quick. Kell Brook is the better fighter to me. Kell Brook beat Shawn Porter, but Shawn Porter is a far more experienced welterweight. All right, he's been in there with so many more fighters. Kell Brook has been in there with Triple G, where he got dominated, and Shawn Porter. He beat Shawn Porter, But at welterweight, he didn't beat anyone else, okay? He fought Errol Spence. He was doing well against Errol, but he took the knee, lost the fight. You know, it is what it is. Eye socket broke, whatever. Shawn Porter is a better fighter to have on your resume because Shawn Porter has been in there with everyone outside of Mayweather, outside of Manny Pacquiao. He's been in there with everybody. You know, he sparred with these guys. Guys that he didn't fight, he sparred with them, you know? So he's been in there with everyone, and he got good wins. He has a great resume. He has a far superior resume than Kell Brook did. Now, Kell Brook was a much better fighter, much better boxer, and just, to me, a more troubling fighter for Spence. And Spence was able to stop him. I know people are going to bring up the fact that Kell Brook was just coming back down from 160 from getting demolished by Triple G. That's cool. That's fair arguments. I'm not arguing that at all. But Kell Brook, those counters, that jab, you know, those legs, and, you know, the fact that he's a big, strong guy, those are things that Shawn Porter don't really have, okay? He doesn't have the boxing ability that Kell Brook had. Errol Spence has a great jab, but he wasn't as effective as he was against Mikey and Lamont Peterson because Kell Brook was countering it, you know? So Errol had to dig into that dog bag and get in close and make it a dog fight. He had to do it. If you watch the fight, you see Kell Brook is constantly moving, trying to create space for he can work. And Errol's just coming in, not throwing anything. He's just getting in close and then digging to his body and making it a dog fight. And then when Kell Brook slowed down, he really started to take over. That's when he started opening back up from the outside, going in, you know? So I think Kell Brook was the bigger challenge to me. You know, even though Shawn Porter is the more credible fighter, I think stylistically, Kell Brook was a tougher fight. You know, I actually picked, you guys know, I picked Kell Brook to win that fight. I didn't think Errol was ready for Kell Brook at that time. I thought Errol had a better chance of beating Shawn Porter, Keith Thurman. This is what I said back then, before, when Keith Thurman was still undefeated. I said Errol Spence could beat Keith Thurman. You know, Errol Spence could beat Shawn Porter. Errol Spence could beat Danny Garcia. This was my opinion back then. It's just that none of these guys really wanted to fight him back then. You know, I thought Kell Brook was the most difficult challenge out of all of them, and he passed that challenge. He went out to the UK, you know, he beat him up, and he came back with the belt. You know, just like Kell Brook came here to beat Shawn Porter and get the belt. But as far as the styles, I really don't know how Shawn is going to win. What I do like about Shawn is his quickness. Okay, he has good legs. He's very durable. All right, we've seen him get knocked down before, but we never really seen him badly hurt. You know, we know Broner dropped him. We know, you know, Keith Thurman rocked him a couple of times in that fight. We know even Ugas rocked him a couple of times, but he recovers extremely fast. All right, and he's not going to stay in one place. The problem is whether he chooses to box from the outside. If he does that, he has to worry about Spence's pressure, his jab. His jab is going to be always out there. And, you know, even though Shawn is going to try to counter as well, I don't think he could counter on a level as a Kell Brook could, you know? I don't think really he has much on the outside. He's going to have to really be aggressive and come in and fight rough with Spence, which is not a good idea neither. You know, Spence is a good, clean body puncher, and you know, if he's going to be in Spence's space, he's going to put himself a lot of danger in there too. You know, one question I do have is, how is Spence when he gets hit to the body? You know, that's one thing that I'm going to be checking for in this fight. And how is Shawn? how is Shawn when he gets hit to the body? Because I haven't really seen Shawn fight someone that would really attack his body. And if he is going to be aggressive and he's going to be trying to come in and wrestle and smother Spence, he's going to have to take a good chance there, because he's going to take a huge chance there because Spence is very powerful, you know, and he has a great inside game, you know. So, you know, what is Shawn going to do? I personally believe that Shawn is going to mix it up. You know, I think he's going to switch it up, I think, throughout the fight. But I don't think he has the skill and the technical ability to outbox Spence. And I don't think him being physical on the inside is going to help him that much neither. But like I said, with Spence, weaknesses that I want to see him, like what I'm going to be looking for, is maybe if Shawn can find a way to keep Spence fighting on his back foot, you know, possibly make Spence fight on his back foot more. Maybe we could see some, you know, maybe there could be some kind of exposing there, because we haven't really seen Spence, you know, completely fight going backwards. You know what I'm saying? And then we also haven't really seen Spence get attacked to the body. You know, we haven't really seen those. So those are the two things I'm going to be looking for. But overall, I think Spence has it. You know, just his jab alone is going to be a huge problem. You know, he's a southpaw. He can fight a rangy fight, and he's powerful on top of that. You know, and you know, this is not a guy that's going to be slowing down. You know, when Shawn fought all these other fighters, right, outside of Kell Brook, even when he lost to Keith Thurman, we knew the weaknesses that Thurman had that Shawn Porter was going to be able to exploit. You know what I'm saying? Keith Thurman doesn't really have an inside game like that. Doesn't like to tie up when he's in trouble. He's not really good at creating space when you are smothering him, you know? Keith Thurman needs space to work, you know? And he needs to move. He needs to use his legs. He doesn't like to stand and sit in the pocket, you know? So when he does it, when you get in and you smother him, he doesn't really know how to create the space. He starts trying to hook and throw wide shots even when you're close. This is why I picked Manny Pacquiao to beat him. And this is why I'm picking Errol Spence to beat Shawn Porter. Because of the same reasons. Shawn Porter is going to be throwing looping wide shots. And I prefer, Spence is going to be mixing it up better. He's going to be throwing wide. He's going to be throwing straight shots. He's going to be throwing straight left hands. He's going to be throwing jabs to the body. He's going to be doing a lot more than Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter just doesn't have the offensive arsenal that Errol Spence has. He doesn't have it. You know, he's very good. He can make adjustments, but as far as talent, and he said this in the face-off they have. He's like, you know, you're very, you know, I think he said what he's like, you're very talented, but you're not very skilled. He said something like that to Porter's face. And even in that exchange of words, you know, Porter's not a big talker. He's never been a big talker. He's a chill guy. So I wasn't expecting Porter to win the war of words or whatever. But yeah, man, he's right. You know, Shawn is good. You know, he's good. He can fight. He's a champion. He's a two-time champion. You know, he's very, very good. And he's one of the very elite 147 pounders. But stylistically, I think Errol Spence is probably the worst fighter for him at 147. You know, even against Bud, who, you know, I'm a crazy big fan of Bud, but I think because of Errol's boxing ability and his power and his strength, I don't think Shawn Porter can really do much with him, you know? I know he's been preparing, but I can't give you an actual breakdown of how Shawn can beat Errol. I can't give you that breakdown. You know, I think maybe if he can expose something that we haven't seen, then yes, all right. But I haven't seen it though. You know, I can mention some things like, you know, fighting on his back foot, or maybe going to his body. Those are some things that could hurt him. You know, but the way Shawn fights, man, sometimes he smothers himself so much. He smothers his own punches so much that he can't even really get off with those clean shots because he's all over. He's so sloppy at times, you know? And I'm not trying to diss him because I do think he's a good boxer. But when you're fighting on this elite level where you're fighting some really, really good fighters, you know, Keith Thurman, he had advantages over. You know, he had advantages over Danny Garcia. You know, he had advantages over, who else did he fight? He's fought a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that I can just name that's out there, just draw out there and let's say, well, Shawn Porter would give them this or give them that. You know, and Errol, I can't really think of anything. Errol and Bud, I can't really think of anything. And not only that, but over the years, Shawn has adapted to just being a welterweight, even outside of the ring. You know, he's kind of like, he used to be a bigger guy at 147, and he's not that no more. You know, he's a small guy now at 140. He's not even a big guy. Kell Brook, big guy. Ugas, big guy. Errol Spence, big guy. Shawn Porter is staying around the weight even when he's not fighting. He's a gym rat. You know, I mean, he was even able to come down to fight Adrian Broner at a catchweight and Broner actually look bigger than him in that fight. You know, that's Adrian Broner. This is Errol Spence we're talking about here. I have Errol winning this fight. The only thing is, you know, I know he's talking a lot about knockouts. Even though I do think it's possible, I think he has a better chance of knocking Shawn Porter out than over Keith Thurman or Kell Brook did. I still think he's going to find a way to survive and go the full 12 rounds. I think Errol, yeah, that's a nice R8 right next to me, bro. I think Errol is going to dominate though on the scorecards. You know, I think Shawn, in order for him to make this fight really competitive, he's gonna have to make it a really ugly fight. I know Spence and them are preparing for this, but I think that's the only way Shawn is really gonna win. And that's the thing about being a pay-per-view. You know, it's like I want to order it. I won't be home, so you know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a post-fight review right after the fight. I'm gonna be at my dad's, so I'm gonna have a bunch of family there. So I don't know if we could be able to talk boxing, but I think it could be a very ugly fight. I don't know if this is going to be a really good fight. You know, I think other fights like a Kell Brook, that's a better matchup. It had better ingredients for a good fight. You know, maybe a Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's always bring a good fight. Shawn Porter doesn't really bring the good fights like that because of his style, man. You know, even like an Andre Berto, I meant to mention him earlier. Shawn Porter was able to take advantage of Berto because Berto, even though he's a big puncher, very underrated puncher. I mean, he's a huge puncher, but his skill set is a little off, and his strength is a little off too. You know, even though he's physically, he has a great physique and a body, he was able to get manhandled by other fighters. You know what I'm saying? So I think with Shawn was able to wrestle it out with him. He didn't have to box with Andre Berto too much. He would switch it up, you know, because they throw the headbutts in there and the elbows. You know how Shawn gets down. You know, there's no secret there. You know, I don't even think Shawn would probably confess that the fight, the way he fights, is the way he fights. But Errol, I don't see it. So I have Errol winning this one by a late stoppage, or but I'm gonna go with decision. I'm not gonna say late stoppage. I think it's by decision. You know, I think if there's, don't be surprised if there's some kind of cut, you know, some kind of headbutt. I don't know. I just think this is gonna be an ugly fight. It's not gonna be as good as a lot of us want it to be. I think a lot of us is gonna be yelling at the screen because of the way Shawn chooses to fight, and you know, it's a pay-per-view. It's a good pay-per-view fight, but I don't know, man. You know, but if I get it, you know, if I have, if the house is not too crazy, I'm definitely gonna order it and try to put a video up. You know, either while doing one live or maybe right after the fight with my dad, because I will be with my dad Saturday night. It's just gonna have a bunch of family at the house. We're gonna all be hanging out. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's my breakdown of the fight. I think, you know, the one thing I'll say in the final part of this video is that the only way Bud is gonna lose a fight at welterweight is gonna be against Errol Spence, and the only way Errol's gonna lose a fight at welterweight is gonna be by Bud Crawford. You know, that's just my opinion. No disrespect to the other top fighters, including Manny Pacquiao, who just beat Keith Thurman. But right now, Bud and Spence are the two best talents. And if Spence is able to win this fight, I think now we would be able to have the discussion of a top 5 pound for pound. I know a lot of people have them in pound for pound list, top 5 already, which is cool. That's your opinion. You know, pound for pound is just a subjective top 5, man. That's all it is. But his resume is too off for me to include it. There's a lot of fighters that did much more that I think definitely should be in the top 5. I think Spence, you can definitely put him in top 10, but that's mostly based off the eye test to me. Not really judging off his resume. But beating a Porter, especially if he knocks Porter out, I can't say that Bud has a better win on a resume than doing that. I can't say that. You know, because Porter's just not a guy that's just, he's never been stopped. He has a great chin. And he recovers extremely well. But if anybody's gonna knock out Shawn Porter and stop him, it's gonna be Errol. I got Errol winning this one. Right? I'm gonna go with this decision though. All right. Hopefully it's not an ugly fight. Hopefully it won't get no bad cuts like the Tyson Fury fight. Hopefully it's a good fight, better fight than I expected to be. You got Benavidez also fighting on the undercard against Darrell, who holds the title. That should be a good fight. I like Benavidez for that fight. If I don't do a breakdown of that before then, just know that I got Benavidez winning that one by UD. All right. So anyway, yo, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys like the video. You know, check out my Instagram, donate. All of that is in the bio, or not the bio, but the description of the video. So, all right, see you guys on the next one. I got more videos on the way. Peace.